By the end of World War I, the automobile was no longer a curiosity. America's young automobile industry was booming, and competition among car companies was just beginning. During the teens, Henry Ford had become the undisputed king of the American automobile industry. His Model T was so sturdy, so affordable, that by 1920 it represented more than half of all cars sold in America.
But once you owned a Model T and it got to be, say, 7 or 8 years old and you thought you might want a new car, there was no reason for you to go and buy another Model T because it was the same car. It hadn't changed.
But the public's tastes had changed. Now there was an opportunity for someone who could take the industry to the next level of styling and engineering. Someone like Walter P. Chrysler.
He was an individual who had the vision, the foresight to take a company or companies and put them together under his own name, and he was enough of a promoter to be able to pull this off, and that was the beginnings of the Chrysler Corporation.
Chrysler was a natural mechanic. From his boyhood fascination with tools and machinery, he fashioned a career as a railroad machinist. But in 1908 he became fascinated with automobiles, and in 1912 he accepted an offer to become plant manager for Buick. Within 4 years, Chrysler had become president of Buick, a position he held until 1920, when he had a falling out with General Motors' top man, Billy Durant.
The story was that at some Buick dinner in Flint, Billy Durant announced that Buick was going to build a brand new frame plant right there in Flint. Well, Chrysler had just spent 6 months negotiating with an out-of-town supplier, and it just signed a deal. And Durant basically embarrassed him and said, "Oh, we're not going to do that." So he quit. He just walked out.
But Chrysler wasn't unemployed long. He soon earned a reputation as the savior of failing automobile companies. First Willys Overland, then Maxwell Chalmers. But for Chrysler, it was no longer enough to be just an executive of someone else's business. Now he wanted his own car company.
A new car was on the way. A car so revolutionary in its mechanical betterments that it was destined to be a sensation.
In 1924, Chrysler realized his dream by transforming the Maxwell organization into a new company called the Chrysler Corporation. Its first product was an immediate hit. The Chrysler 6 boasted a long list of automotive engineering firsts, including a high-compression engine, aluminum pistons, and a 4-wheel hydraulic brake system. And in 1928, Chrysler became the final member of the Big Three when it purchased Dodge Brothers.
Actually, it was as they said at the time, the minnow swallowing the whale. Dodge Brothers was a bigger company than Chrysler Corporation, and that sort of made Chrysler.
John and Horace Dodge made their fortunes as parts suppliers to Henry Ford. By 1915, they were successfully producing their own cars and building a nationwide dealer network. But both brothers died suddenly in 1920, and 5 years later, their widows sold their prosperous company to a New York banking firm.
One of the things that attracted Walter Chrysler to Dodge Brothers was that those cars had, from the very beginning, had a reputation for dependability. They weren't necessarily the swoopiest looking cars, but they would get the job done. They wouldn't break down on you.
Maintaining the Dodge reputation for dependability was important to the company's new owner. So important that this memorable promotional film starred Chief Engineer Fred Zeter and Walter Chrysler himself.
You've gone beyond what I expected could be accomplished.
Mr. Chrysler, we put everything we had into this new Dodge car. It's got that good old Dodge dependability, plus everything that the public want today.
Fred, you're proud of this car, aren't you?
You're damn right I am.
As the Roaring Twenties came to a close, Chrysler offered cars in every price range. The new entry-level Plymouth, the mid-range Dodge and DeSoto, and the top-of-the-line Chrysler and Imperial models. The national prosperity that had made the Chrysler Corporation possible dissolved in the stock market crash of 1929. But the company's strong product line would help it survive in the difficult days ahead. Chrysler in the 1930s, coming soon on CEN.